Hey, how you doing? Al Penn. Welcome back for another brief lesson on the guitar. Today I just want to reiterate just the string names, and starting with the low string, the thick string on the guitar, that is the E string. Next string is A. Next string is D. Next string is G, followed by the B string, and the very top string is E. With guitaring conventions, the way the strings are numbered, starting with, it starts number 1, the first string starts on the high E string, then B is 2, G is 3, D is 4, A is 5, and E, the low E, is 6. And that's pretty much across the board. Any tablature you look at, anything written specifically for the guitar, when they refer to the strings by those numbers, that's what they're referring to. Now also with the frets musically represent a half step of music. So when you look at the E string, for example, a half step up from this open E is going to be the F note. Half step up from there is F sharp. Half step up from there is G. Half step up, G sharp. Half step to A, and so on and so forth down the neck. And obviously, again, musically, when you look at the notes of music, A through G, your half steps naturally occur between E and F, and then between the B and C notes. That's, again, across the board, wherever you go from here to Timbuktu, that's the way music is written. A finger exercise that'll really help just to get you used to stretching your fingers across the neck will be a 1 finger per fret exercise. And this is what it's going to look like. The E string open, first finger behind the first fret, second finger on the second fret, third finger on the third fret, fourth finger on the fourth fret, and then back down the same way until you're open again. Now a couple notes when you're doing this exercise is, number 1 is placement of your fingers. You want to make sure your fingers are not on top of the fret where it might buzz, but just behind the fret. So if you go put your finger on the top of the fret and then just inch it behind the fret, you'll have your note. You want to make sure each finger does that behind the fret. And this could be pretty tough, especially if you have short hands, but I know this is going to look silly, but what you want to do initially to get your fingers used to it is, if you have to, go ahead and take your other hand and take your finger and just push it to where it needs to go, right behind that next fret. It's going to feel awkward as heck at first, but believe me, it'll be worth it in the long run. Your fingers will eventually get used to the distance. One of the things to keep in mind also when you're doing this exercise is not to go, your brain's going to want to run a mile a minute and go faster than your hands may be ready to go. So play only as fast as you can play each note clear. So in other words, make sure every note sounds right. Couple observations you'll notice as I place my fingers, each finger on the fretboard, I keep them in place. And again, that's part of the stretching routine that will get your fingers used to those intervals that you have to put your fingers across on the neck. Same thing as you go all the way up the neck. This is on the D string, G string, B string, and the E string. So again, only go as fast as your fingers can play the notes clearly. One other observation is, again, as you pull your fingers off, they'll just stay off as you come back down the neck. So that's one of the exercises. Everything else is pretty much variations of that. So I'll just run through one of the variations of the string exercises, finger stretching exercises. Starting on the 6th string, going to the 5th. Then you can go back down that same way, starting at the top. variation of that exercise is to use that downward motion starting at the 6th string and going up. A little bit more challenging. And then obviously this, the reverse way going down. Another variation will be to skip strings going up. Back down to the 5th string, skip. Back down to the next string, skip. And then that's another variation. You can always work going back down, skipping strings. Again, all these are just different ways to get your fingers used to the fretboard, getting used to the stretch. Good to practice if you can get 5 to 10 minutes a day between commercials and all that stuff. Guitar Hero is not quite the same. If you can get a real guitar, that's the way to go. One other note for the right hand, you can try, you don't need to do any particular style at this point, but you can do all downstrokes if you want to play the strings. Or you can do what's called alternating, so you'll play a downstroke and then an upstroke. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Try it out, and again, just something to get used to. If you drop the pick down the sound hole, no worries, I do it still all the time. Have fun with it. Thanks.